So here at MPG Ranch, there's a strong legacy of hunting, as there is in most of Montana. On this ranch in particular, there are hundreds of elk. In order to meet our conservation goals of having diverse plant communities, animal communities, we use hunting to help manage that herd.
Well, I think the ranch owner and ranch staff appreciate the fact that wildlife is a public resource, and so in a lot of ways we try to share the wildlife with the public. For MPG, that's primarily white-tailed deer and elk. One of the things that I realized after being with a lot of the hunters on the ranch is that the youth who harvest an elk are certainly excited, and it's a neat thing for them.
Well, I just kind of wanted to shoot an elk, and it looked like a pretty good opportunity.
I enjoy taking the kids hunting. I think it builds a lot of character. You know, it gives them a strong foundation.
The State Fish, Wildlife, and Parks defines a youth hunter as any hunter that's 12 to 15 years old, which means that through that definition, they qualify for more liberal regulations for hunting. And here on MPG Ranch, that means that youth hunters are able to harvest antlerless elk off a general license. Each youth hunter that qualifies to hunt on the ranch spend a day out here, what we call a youth field day. So they learn about the ranch history. They help with some conservation efforts here on the ranch, and we end the day with a couple hours at the shooting range and then have a chili feed.
Kids can learn how to deploy bear spray, they learn about wildlife management.
We try to promote and enhance youth hunter opportunity here on the ranch, not just so that they can come out and recreate, but we really do try to instill a sense of hunter ethics and marksmanship. We require all of the rifle hunters on the ranch to use non-lead ammunition. That includes the youth hunters as well. And for many of them, it's the first time that they've had an opportunity to use it. And so we've actually been a bit of a conduit for, hey, where do you find it? What different calibers and grains is it available in? And most of the hunters are able to find the copper ammunition commercially. And it costs about as much as a premium lead ammunition, not much more. And it's becoming more and more common. What I remember most about Paige was that she was really put together. She did not need a lot of coaching. She was extremely confident. She knew that if she had a shot, she was going to be able to make that shot. You could just feel that about her. Paige, good job. That's outstanding. Yeah.
I just shot my first elk.
Is that pretty exciting?
Yes. Long shot. Well, just kind of tried to get steady on the shooting sticks and it didn't work, so found an old sagebrush and made it happen.
The big smile and just, you know, her reaction when she finally harvested her cow elk is, you know, that's pretty special. It was just a great day spending it out there with Paige and her stepdad. We've had elk harvested with everything from 243s to 300 Magnums. The copper ammunition, to me, performs extremely well. We've probably witnessed in the range of 75 to 90 elk in the last 3 or 4 years harvested with non-lead ammunition. And I have no qualms about using copper ammunition. It's every bit as effective as the lead. Commonly it ranges 200 to 400 yards, and just don't see a drop-off with the use of copper ammunition.
We want those youth hunters and the public to hunt at MPG, but we just want to ask their help to please use non-lead ammunition.
So at MPG, we try to cater to our diversity of hunters. And that includes the young people, of course, but also some of the older folks that may not have had an opportunity to harvest an elk in their life. This fall, we had the occasion to meet Wayne. Wayne was a 30-year Marine disabled vet. He was a big hulk of a guy, and he had some pretty tough knees, and so he used a long staff to help him hike when we were pursuing these elk. And interestingly, one of his bucket list items was that he wanted to harvest an elk. One of the features about the ranch was that sometimes those elk can occupy terrain that allows us to maybe handle folks that are a little more challenged at getting around on the landscape. In this particular case, the elk were in just the right spot. We were able to take our time, and things worked out for Wayne, and he was able to check off one of his bucket list items.
She just went a little ways to the left and went down. Thank you very much. Thank you, Lord.
Everything just worked out, and he made a great shot. I think he was a pretty happy guy. When you get a guy or a gal that's older in years and has spent a lot of their life searching for elk and never actually being able to harvest one, we've actually had a couple hunters in tears in their 70s and 80s because it was the first elk they were able to harvest. And so you begin to realize how important and how much it means to some of these folks that had never had that chance before. It's great that we were able to kind of share that experience with them on the ranch. So while we tend to enhance and try to promote youth hunter opportunity, we have a lot of other hunting opportunity on the ranch as well. And so members of the public, through a sign-in effort, are allowed to archery hunt in the river bottom for white-tailed deer and elk. We also have elk opportunity for antlerless elk for the archery and rifle season on the ranch proper. It is limited. People get on a waiting list, and we choose folks off the waiting list. We work with Fish and Wildlife and Parks, and we've held early game damage seasons, hunter access through the general season, and the last 3 years we've had a late elk season as well. We've probably averaged 75 to 100 hunter days on the ranch, and we have been harvesting around 25 to 40 antlerless elk on the ranch each year.
"95% of the lead that is in the environment was put there by us. It's been in car batteries, it's been in lead paint, it's been banned in some cases because it's toxic. We still use it in lead bullets, and that's drawing a lot of concern now." A study by the Peregrine Fund found that 80% of deer that were shot with a 7mm mag had bullet fragments in the meat. So there's a lot of concern about whether lead is affecting us as humans. A disturbing fact for us as modern humans is that we have 100 times more lead in our bones than pre-industrial humans. Researchers from the Center of Disease and Control and Prevention went to North Dakota, and they sampled people who did or did not eat game meat. And it turned out that the people who did eat game meat had higher lead levels in their blood. Their lead levels were still lower than the national average, so there was a risk, but it might not be as big as some people say.
Originally, the non-lead issue came up through folks doing the eagle research here in the valley, and began to see elevated levels of lead in some of the eagles.
Here at MPG Ranch, Rob Dominich, Adam Shredding, and the rest of the Raptor View research team have tested golden and bald eagles that overwinter in the Bitterroot Valley, and found that 89% of those eagles have elevated levels of lead in their blood. He's also put GPS transmitters on golden eagles and found that they migrate as far north as the Yukon, the Arctic Ocean, and then they come back down here to winter in Montana. These animals have tremendous migration corridors and distances. To a raptor, the symptoms of lead poisoning are lethargy, muscle weakness, blindness, and in some cases, death. The lead bullets will fragment in an animal that's shot, and scavengers will ingest those fragments. Or what can happen is the hunter finds the animal, guts it, leaves entrails, stomach, liver in the field. Those could have lead particles that scavengers could ingest. And raptors seem to be the most at risk. After learning that 89% of the eagles at MPG in the winter had elevated levels of lead, we started using copper bullets. It was a really simple solution to this problem. Copper ammunition has been used for a really long time because in some cases it gives excellent performance. And the reason we can use it and not poison scavengers is because it has nearly 100% weight retention. So a lead bullet can fragment. Copper bullets rarely fragment, and they retain most of their mass. And when that happens, they have excellent momentum going through the animal. So the penetration using a copper bullet is usually superior to a lead bullet. And bring in the youth hunters to show them that we have new conservation threats always coming up, and we should somehow come together to do what we can to improve our actions as conservationists and as hunters to keep the tradition alive.
I just shot an elk. I think it was like a 200-yard shot. I was using a 260.
Did you feel like it took a good shot?
Yeah, I think it's a hard shot.
How fast these animals expire has a little to do with how well folks are shooting, but the animals that are hit with a kill shot, a shot in the heart or lungs, they'll expire fairly quickly, every bit as quickly as the animals shot with lead ammunition. I was a little hesitant, I'll be the first to admit it, and after we've probably witnessed 75 to 90 elk being harvested with copper ammunition, and I'll tell you what, I'm a fan. It works just as well as lead.
It's a big elk.
I use copper now myself for everything.
Here, let's get started on her. Good job.